Hello, my name is Adolfo Navarro, director of The Sixth Sector. It's a short film that I wanted to do a behind the scenes about because it's a unique challenge for me. We did a 7-minute no cuts action alien invasion film. This came about from a challenge from a Jerome film festival. So I decided I had done a similar film called The Fifth Sector that I wanted to do a continuation story from, so I said, well, why don't we do this, because it was a similar theme. The major challenge this festival presented was that they asked us to have no preparation, so we wouldn't be able to write a script or do anything preparing for this film other than looking for some locations and maybe gathering some actors. So I had shot at this location before, so I decided, okay, well, we'll worry one thing at a time. So since I've been there before, I can try to map out visually where things will happen. So I made a little diagram that we have. I broke it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 different scenes and breaks of the action that's happening in the film. The other major factor was we needed to have this completed in 14 days. Because we couldn't prepare a script or have any lines given to the actors before the kickoff to this challenge, I called upon some great improvisational actors and a theater director to help me. So as soon as we knew we can start, we pretty much just went out on location the next day and started shooting this because I knew I would have to have the next 13 days or 12 days to do effects. I gave them the script and they would have to memorize as much as they can, but we'd go back every time and redo the scene. So to make sure we stayed within the 7-minute time period we had for this short film, we would take out our iPhones and clock the entire sequence that we would just rehearsed, so we knew how much time we had to play with at the end. That provided us some flexibility to look back at each one of these takes and say, okay, we can speed up the dialogue there, or we can run faster here between the takes of the different scene to go into the next one. So we knew we had some time to play with by the end when we hit that 7-minute mark. One of the other challenges was I played one of the characters in the film, so I would pass the camera to one of the actors when he wasn't being used, and then I would go and do my scene and go back and run, and he would pass the camera back to me on a couple of these scenes, and then we would continue the scene. And if we had one mistake, we would have to go over and do the entire scene over. When you do 7 minutes, you're really wanting to commit to not making any mistakes, because otherwise we got to go all the way back and start over.
Take your pen.
Oh, you alright? How about plan D? I'm gonna go with plan D.
So by doing so many takes, I was able to find out how many different obstacles I would have underneath my feet or behind me while doing some of these shots.
That works for me. Yeah, works for me.
One of these aliens must have pulled over to take a piss, because look, perfect.
I don't know who you are. I don't care. So I'll be Will Smith from Independence Day. You can be Randy Quaid. No.
What?
And as soon as we make the exchange, I'd try to be as fluid as I could. He would wait for his moment and go run for his next part where he would have to be in the location of this area. So because there were so many boulders and different obstacles in this entire location that we shot, you had to make sure that you just knew where you were going, because if you weren't in the right spot, you can be trapped behind a wall or a boulder or trip or fall, and then that would slow everything else down and no one else would know where they're going, which would affect, it was like a domino effect. You wouldn't be where you're supposed to be with the camera, or the other actor wouldn't be where they're supposed to be to make the scene time out perfectly.
Handle one of these cupcakes. Let's go blow this thing up. That was a good blow.
That's what she said. Okay, celebrate.
So we would continue to do take after take and memorize and try to just rehearse for hours.
Here you go, Chafin.
Okay.
Boom, you shot it. It fell and destroyed to the left. Here I come.
I got that scum sucker.
Great job, people.
So when someone wasn't in the scene, we had different things that they were going to have to do to continue the action. In one of the areas in the film, a character gets pulled behind a wall and gets eaten by a big queen alien. So we'd have him go ahead and pull one of the characters behind the wall to simulate that she was actually the one that did it. And then I'm starting to realize as we're rehearsing these things, I'm seeing that the sun is slowly dipping. So hours becomes more hours and you don't realize how long you are in a day until the sun starts to become your enemy. So now I'm realizing there's a lot of shadows occurring, which is going to be very problematic later for special effects and having to do more compositing. So I'll give everybody cues to where the action was occurring with these creatures that they can't see. So we couldn't prep this ahead of time, so I would just say right here is where the creature would pop up and scream this, this, this. And after a while of rehearsing, everybody would figure it out where everything was happening.
Nom nom nom, delicious. Nom 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 nom.
But you went down harder than me. I just
That hurt real bad.
I fell
for
on my
about
yours
20
looked like it did.
seconds.
Oh,
I heard you when you hit and you went, oh.
Both knees.
oh, I was really concerned.
I landed on my
Oh.
side so it didn't hurt, but you went straight on both knees. It
Oh,
was
it
like,
was that big boulder. You guys went back instead of to the side. That's what happened.
When you do a film like this, it doesn't really matter if you have a lot of dialogue or not in a scene. Even if you didn't have lines, you still had to know where you were going to be at the right time for me, the cameraman, to go ahead and be where I'm supposed to be to get the action.
At dry, salted plums.
And the names are,
Saladitos.
yes.
Okay.
the whole thing.
Go for the glory, Huck Finn.
Pinche gringo.
Just don't bite into it, it's a plum seed.
That's pretty salty. Oh my god.
So nibbling on that's a nice little, while you're just kind of, you don't usually eat the whole thing like that, but at least you get the whole gist of what it is.
His face is bad.
That's it.
So because I was the cameraman in this film, I was able to picture all the special effects and where they were going to be. And without telling anybody where to point the camera, I knew where to be, so I would just point the actors where I wanted them, which saved time. Go. Towards the end of the film, the queen alien will pick up a big boulder and throw it at one of the characters and smash him as he tosses a big RPG gun at one of the main characters to shoot it. So the challenge was, how do you hide the character while the boulder comes, because you can't cut and have him kind of be gone out of the shot. So placing him in the most specific spot was a bit of a challenge, and yet we had to do it over and over and over until we got it right, to where I would hide him behind one of the characters as he threw the RPG, and the boulder would eventually be over his entire body, so then the scene would be completed. So about after 6 hours of rehearsing, we started to notice that the sun was going to cause our shadows to be longer and actually get in the scene. So you don't want cameraman's shadows in the scene, so I decided, okay, well, we got to make a choice. Let's just keep rehearsing, get the takes, and that'll help, but we might have to decide to shoot this, and fatigue was setting in and everybody was starting to forget their lines. It's a lot of information to take in, trying to memorize an entire script, know where all your places are supposed to be, all within the same day. But at the end of the day, everybody remembered all their lines and all their spots and all their places, and we ended up with about 3 or 4 really good long 7-minute takes to choose from. So after production wrapped, I videotaped myself do all the motions that I wanted all of the queen alien and different creatures doing in the film, and I sent them over to my 3D effects animator, Donnie, and he went ahead and saw the footage, and he tried to simulate and emulate the exact same thing that he'd seen, that the motions I'm doing. So he would FaceTime me and then put the camera to his computer and show me the animation before he renders it out, and then I would say, yeah, let's make some adjustments here, or we would both agree, yeah, we should do this, and that's how we continued to make these, continue these sequences while I animated them. And then while he was animating them, I was editing the film at the same time to get the best results. This saved us a lot of time in the end. So when I chose this short film to do, I decided to do it the same way I would do it, even if I didn't have to do it all in one continuous 7-minute sequence. That set my own bar really high for this short film. And some choices you would have to make on the fly, and some things you would have made if this wasn't a short film you can actually do cuts in. And there were times where, I didn't know if we would have been able to accomplish all the stuff that we had thought of, But at the end of the day, we ended up doing it and problem solving along the way. And I think that any challenges that kind of intimidate you at first, but you know, everything works itself out if you trust the people you're with. Thanks for everyone that put their lives on hold to help make this awesome film possible, to the effects artist, to the music composer, to the costume and the actors and the cast and the crew and everybody that kind of did above and beyond of what they were asked to do in the begin with. And I really appreciate everybody that helped it. It couldn't have been possible without you. Thanks for watching.